The following is brought to you by the Social Suplex Podcast Network.
This is All Things Elite. Welcome back to All Things Elite. Load up the pod, man, it's on when we speak. Rich right here, let me warm it up for Austin and Floyd. Couldn't be no one but the boys. When it come to All Things Elite from the fan perspective, swear, man, it ain't no question. Hear from them first. Swear, man, they putting in the work. No, they had to get me for the verse. Social Suplex Network's on. I was at a time in your headphones. Austin and Floyd on the microphone. Backing out on the ring, getting in the zone. Pulling up the show, give it 7 stars, you already know. Who else could it be but the show with the proclivity for positivity? I'm gone.
Welcome to the 324th episode of Social Suplex's podcast about AEW with a proclivity for positivity. Welcome to All Things Elite. I'm your host, Floyd Johnson, and I'm riding solo as Austin celebrates new love with his girlfriend. Austin's asked to record tomorrow, I'm recording early morning Thursday, July 10th, and he asked to record tomorrow, July 11th. Well, he asked to record tomorrow night, like the night of July 10th. Well, I will be in Chicago, and I'm staying with a friend, so I don't even know if I would have the place to record. So I'm flying solo, so you're getting a solo show. I'm definitely trying to get a show out every week, even if I have to do it myself. So here I am. Hopefully I can talk about it, get you that good information. But I'm doing well. Today, I'm in Oklahoma City, for all you didn't know. Hard not to know. I talk about it often. But Cody Rhodes did a WWE signing at Walmart in Oklahoma City today. And I'm going to tell you about it, and then we're going to start talking about the show. But before I tell you about it, make sure you're downloading the show on YouTube Music or Apple Podcasts. Please leave a rating and review. And if you're so inclined, you can follow us at AT Elite Pod, at Social Suplex, at Austin Sumowitz, and at Floyd Johnson Jr. on Twitter. As a reminder, please check out the Social Suplex Network. The link will be in the show. And make sure you're in the best Discord on the planet, the Social Suplex Discord. So, before I get to the big news of the week, just tell you a little bit about what's going on in my life and my day. Fast forward about 10 minutes if you want to. Well, like I was saying, Cody Rhodes, WWE wrestler, was in Oklahoma City at Walmart doing a meet and greet. I had a feeling, when Walmart does meet and greets, they usually make you wait outside. And it's the summer in Oklahoma, so my initial thought was no. Then my friends hit me up, and they said they really wanted their daughter to meet Cody. So I said, you know what? We can do this. So the morning of July 9th, I got off work at 6 o'clock. I got my niece, Q, to go sit in line. So basically got her a chair, got her drinks, all that stuff, and then sit in line for me. And in front of her was my good friend, Jackie Guerrero. I've met her in wrestling lines and through wrestling shows and through people. She's amazing. And her dad, John, was there. And so Q sat there, and I got her some Starbucks breakfast and got Jackie some Starbucks. And I went home and went to sleep because I had just gotten off at 6 a.m. So I slept and I got up, bought tickets to All Out in Chicago. So I'm going to discuss that in just a minute. Then I took another nap, got up, showered, went to there. So as I got there, luckily enough to relieve Q, they had moved a tent over the spot where the initial people were. So I had my chair in a tent, had some water, and me, Jackie, her dad, chopped it up for a little bit. And then my friend Chris made it just in time with his daughter Sophie. And she was able to jump in line with us, get a wristband. And Yeah, so we did the meet and greet with the roller coaster. He gave me a big old hug, said he liked the jersey that I wore, which was awesome. And yeah, and then Sophie got to meet Cody, her favorite wrestler, which was the whole reason for the day. All right, so that's the good and positive for her. A young girl got to meet her role model, Cody Rhodes. Well, if anyone from Drumsticks or Walmart or anyone that's listening to the show let you know, I hate you. This whole thing was outside. It was 103 today in 103 degrees today in Oklahoma City. Thank the Lord for Jackie and her dad for getting the tent and all that kind of stuff. Well, the last 30 minutes of it was completely, we had to come from under the tent, get the pat down, get the bracelet, all that stuff. Sun was just beating down on me. And I'm telling you, in that 30 minutes, I felt more drained than I had all day. And Cody comes out and he's rocking a 3-piece suit, goes in this little area to take it. So I say this, if you need to do a meet and greet outside in the summer, you don't need to do the meet and greet. I am very excited for everybody who got to meet Cody today. And this is all fan stuff. It's just like, it was miserable. And I will say this, if it wasn't for my friend and daughter wanting to meet Cody, I would have took my ass home. I enjoy Jackie and I enjoy her dad. They're two amazing people that I love to talk to. But I hate outside and I especially hate the heat. And that was terrible. And I will not say, I try now my best not to speak in absolutes. And I will not say that I will never do a meet and greet outside again. But it would have to be like a very rare thing. It'd have to be someone that I haven't met, which, as you may know, would be very difficult to do. So I had a really good time. Thank you, Jackie. Thank you, John. Thank you. Thank you. Everybody was there. Had a really good time. It was a really fun. So I can move on from that to the big story of the day. I kind of spoiled it already. AEW All Out returns to Chicago. So Tony Khan was on the radio in Chicago with Case Lowe. I believe that is his name. And he said AEW was returning to Chicago and the Now Arena on Saturday, September 26th, All Out in Chicago, Now Arena. Tickets went on, the VIP tickets as usual went on sale Tuesday. The pre-sale was on Thursday the 9th. I picked up tickets for me and my boy Tyler. So I'll be there. I'm excited. I know a lot of people have a lot of complaints about the Now Arena and the internet basically dies, but I'm going to be at the Now Arena on tomorrow, the 11th, for New Japan, and now I'll be in there in September 26th for it. This is where the original All In was held, so it has a special place in my heart. It's that simple. For me, I have a special place in my heart. So I love this arena, and I like going to get White Castles after the show. So I'm very excited for All Out to get there. Now, as talked about last week, they said they're going to be doing more from FanFest. Well, the thing is, they definitely have the infrastructure for FanFest in this part, because they usually do it at the Schaumburg Convention Center and Hotel. And so they already have the infrastructure to do a FanFest that weekend. So I am willing to bet, hypothetical Monopoly money, that All Out FanFest will be the 2 days, will be the 25th and the 26th of September. They have not announced anything. They have not hinted anything, but that is just my thought process based on the location that they picked. Because like I said, he said they were going to do more FanFest last week. And then now we're in a situation where they pick an area that they often do FanFest in. I don't remember a time that they haven't when they've held a big show there. So look out for All Out FanFest. If you haven't met some of your favorite wrestlers, maybe start making accommodations to be in Schaumburg, Hoffman Estates area that time of year. I will be there. I will be with my boy Tyler, and it will be fun. So that's just my thought process. I'm excited. I don't think Chicago gets too much. I don't think Chicago gets too much. I don't think Chicago gets too much. I'm in Oklahoma City. Chicago is a very easy trip for me. It's always a nonstop flight, centrally located. I love the food there. I love Giordano's or Savastanos. I think that's what it's called. I probably said it wrong. Don't get mad at me. Portillo's, I like to go there. And the fact is, Tyler doesn't live that far away. Chris doesn't live that far away. My friend Christine lives in town. It's just very convenient for people to come and me to see everyone. Even Austin and Sydney are a short ride from Detroit to Chicago. I don't know if they'll actually be at the show because it's during the heart of football season, but your boy will be there. And the great thing for me is that it is not on Labor Day weekend, so I might actually get to go to one of my fantasy football live drafts, which is, I haven't done in years because generally I'm at a wrestling event. So that's pretty cool. All out in Chicago, in Schaumburg, Hoffman Estates area. So make sure you check that out. And if you decide you want to go, All Things Elite will be there. All right. So we had basically a pay-per-view on TV. And at the aforementioned interview with Case Lowe, Tony Khan says the reason they run these world title matches and stuff is for people that can't afford the pay-per-views. They want them to get big matches. So I thought that was really cool to say in a time where a big complaint about WWE is that the prices are insane, that you have a company that's really trying to make sure their stuff is affordable. And this is not me trying to take down WWE. I am a capitalist. So WWE, I am a part of a capitalist society. I am not personally capitalist, but I'm part of capitalist society. So make as much money as you can. So I'm not ever going to complain about WWE. Now, they might have priced me out, but there are plenty of people that still go to their shows. I think this Oklahoma City SmackDown that is today, July 10th, I think it has over like 8,000 to 10,000 tickets out. So it is what it is. You can't argue with success. All right. So now we are into AEW Beach Break review. Now, I will tell you, the show happened, and this is my overall thoughts on the show. And I got the card, and I saw it, and I will tell you this. This is not a victory lap, because actually this is a complaint. I knew everything that was going to happen on the show. Every result. I knew what was going to happen. Booking patterns. And it has nothing to do with me being smart. I don't Wrestling Observer newsletter, I no longer subscribe to it. I don't get any tips or tricks. I've never been, what's the one? Fightful. Never been a VFA subscriber to them. Everything I saw as far as results was based on booking patterns of the company. Now, stories, logic, all that kind of stuff, it is what it is. But the booking patterns get predictable. So because of that, I knew the result of literally everything on this card before. Now, some people enjoyed the show. Some people didn't. Ultimately, the main event, if your guy won, that's great. But it's just like, I don't know. Predictability to me is sometimes good, but too much predictability is bad. So that's what I felt like. This was a great show, but a very, very, very chalk predictable show. So I will explain that as I go through. And again, this is not by any means to disparage AEW in any way, because it really isn't. It's just the fact of the matter is, I think, and I'm not even saying I'm a super genius, I think I watch wrestling, I watch the show enough, you just start picking up on patterns. And I've always been fairly good at pattern recognition. I think that's why I work well in the job that I do. But, So we started off the show. Kenny Omega is ready. Kenny Omega's in the dressing room where he's with his close friend Michael Nakazawa, and asked him how he felt about tonight's possibly being his final shot. So until the main event, he says he only has Nakazawa with him tonight. If this is truly it, Omega would shake MJF and tell him he did a good job, but it won't be easy. It's 102 degrees out there. Has MJF been through that? Can he stomp out Omega's dreams and his chance to main event in All Out London? It won't be like Vancouver. Omega's ready. That's the first thing. No outside shows during the summer. No. I think that's an absolute nothing. The venue looked amazing. It's all that good stuff. It looked pretty. No outside shows during the summer. Just no. No, no, no. It is fucking miserable. Unless you find a way to air condition and get some cooling on your fans, it is insane to do an outside show in the summer, especially in Florida. 103-degree weather, it cannot be safe to be doing physical activity out there. I understand these are the world's class athletes. These are some of the best athletes in the world, but come on, 102 degrees? Imagine what it is in an actual ring with all the lights and stuff like that. I went through this at All Out 2020, and I remember it was FTR versus Hangman and Kenny Omega, and they had to wrestle out there, and it was fucking terrible for them. People having to get on IVs after the match, to try to get their liquids back. So yeah, no outside shows in the summer. I personally say no outside shows. Don't get me wrong. That's a Floyd thing. That is not a big overarching thing. But yeah, having wrestling in 103-degree weather, no, don't do that shit. To me, again, this is not business. I would never go to that show. I just wouldn't. And y'all know I try my best not to speak in absolutes. But you tell me it's going to be 100 degrees at bail time, and I don't have air conditioning or somewhere I can sit under, I'm out. So shout out to Jeremy Donovan, Dan Coffin, and Rich Latta, because they decided to brave it. Now, all of those are Florida boys. They're used to this heat, so they took it, but they even said it was hot. I think Dan messaged me that it was hotter than All Out. So, again, I remember how hot All Out was, so no, no outside shows unless absolutely necessary. All right, so it's time for the opening contest. Tommaso Ciampa and Chris Jericho. All right, just going to go to the wrap up the show. Ciampa grabbed a bucket, so the referee took it away from him, which allowed Ciampa to throw sand in Jericho's eyes, with Jericho blinded. Ciampa nailed him with a bicycle knee and pinned Jericho for the win. Ciampa brought a steel chair to the ring and smashed Jericho over the head with it. Ciampa wasn't done and emptied a tool back from under the ring to produce a power drill. Referees and security stepped between the two to prevent Ciampa from causing further harm. So I feel there's going to be some kind of lights out match between these two. I don't think this is over. Maybe this leads to Jericho forming a new group or joining a group or something. But yeah, just from what I understand, this is definitely not open. But shout out to Tommaso Ciampa and, to all the people that say Chris Jericho never puts anyone over. I laugh at you. The Brawling Bros do what they do best. We took a look at Jamie and Allie enjoying a night at the pub by brawling with everyone in sight. They took everyone out, and Windsor said it felt good to do that again. Hater said she didn't know what they were thinking. So let me tell you, I've been calling most of the year since the Brawling Birds that they're going to be the team that eventually takes out the Divine Dominion at Wembley. So, the happy couple leaving with the tag team belt. So it's good that the Brawling Birds are back in time for the build to Wembley, so we can start that whenever. MJF and Will Ospreay have a heated showdown. Will Ospreay, Renee asked Will for his opinion on the main event and how he wanted to see it go. With his world title shot locked in, Ospreay admitted he obviously pulling for Omega more than anything in the world. He's one of the greatest of the generation, but you can't look past MJF. It's not the talent you have to worry about. It's the bullshit. Hopefully by the end of the night, we can announce the all-in main event of Omega versus Ospreay. MJF stepped in to cut Ospreay off, and because I feel like this segment's super important, I'm going through all of it. No skimming. So said no to the main event idea. MJF said Ospreay sounded judgmental. MJF doesn't judge him for calling himself the best in the world while MJF has the AEW world title. He thinks about the fact that Ospreay's a grown-ass man looking for Jon Moxley's love and admiration. MJF went on to mock the voices of both Moxley and Ospreay. MJF doesn't judge the weird love-hate relationship Ospreay has with Omega, yet here's Ospreay judging MJF instead of thanking him. MJF said, we're living in a golden era of AEW in 2026, and there's only one reason, one man to thank for it, and you're looking at him, which I agree with. Isn't it funny that Ospreay talked about restoring the feeling when all along MJF was the feeling? I agree again. And Ospreay and Omega are just good little wrestlers. I don't agree with that. MJF says he's a star and checks every single box. That's why it's so annoying that everyone talks about how Wembley Stadium was all about Will Ospreay, and it should be Ospreay versus Omega as the main event for MJF's Triple B. MJF said tonight, after night, he won't challenge for the title ever again. He might not even be able to look him in the mirror again, and he's going to break Ospreay's neck at Wembley Stadium at All In on August 30th. Ospreay told MJF to step back. Ospreay said MJF can be the youngest, longest, and multiple-time world champion, but there are a lot of people that can easily say that the talent or the bullshit that comes with MJF beat them. Max, you can be the youngest, you can be the longest, but the best, mate, you don't even crack the top 50. I know Japanese girls who are 14 years old and can do better than you. You know what you are? You are a beggar. You walk into every single arena expecting thank yous and people to tell you how special you are. What you want is just to be part of the conversation. When in reality, until you do it on your own, until you ditch all those antics, you ain't part of the conversation. You never will be. MJF spat in Ospreay's face. Ospreay kicked MJF in the gut, wailed away at him until security separated the two. And as they yelled at each other, MJF said, Omega's a dead man and it's on Ospreay. I think this segment was very important, because this is wrestling. And I overthought this last night. I'm gonna flat out say it. I overthought it because I'm breaking down this segment, watching the segment, seeing how it leads to what's going on. And it's like Ospreay's like into the bullshit. I mean, okay. So I remember Ospreay winning the New Japan World Heavyweight Championship, IWGP Heavyweight Championship. And I also remember him beating Kenny Omega with the help from Don Callis. I don't think he's ever beat Kenny Omega clean. So again, this is like revisionist history. And Kenny Omega's only AEW World Title with I was in attendance for at Winter's Coming, where Sting debuted. Kenny Omega didn't win the title without help. So I'm like, what are you talking about here? MJF is not y'all both have used tactics while Ospreay to beat Kenny Omega to beat Jon Moxley. They've both used tactics to win, but you're trying to call MJ out for it. I didn't understand this. And then he said he can't do it by himself, right? So, okay. He said until you can do it by yourself, you're not going to fit on that level. Cool. All right. I'm going to leave that there. Come back to it later. AEW International Championship, Kyle Fletcher defeats Tanosuke Takeshita. This match was amazing. But amazingly predictable because last year, Tanosuke Takeshita won the G1. Before he went into the G1, he wrestled Bandito for the ROH title, and he lost. And he always has like a big loss this time of year before he goes into G1. So I knew going into this match 100% that Kyle Fletcher is going to win this match. So that was unfortunate So yes, with that being said, I knew Takeshita wasn't taking this title to the G1 and away from Japan for a month, which honestly, it would have been great if he did because as we know, there's too many belts at AEW and you kind of saw it after this match. But yes, they had a fucking banger. Kyle Fletcher and Konosuke Takeshita is the reason that I wanted to be at this show. And then, I couldn't go to it anyway. I want to all transparency, but I wouldn't have went because I know it would have been outside in Florida. I just wouldn't have went. I'm like, there's like 4 or 5 matches that I would go outside for, and it wasn't this. So the idea of this match is Takeshita pretty much knew. Kyle Fletcher was just a step ahead of Takeshita, knew what was coming, and Takeshita was fighting from a place with anger. So the finish of the match, Takeshita tried a power drive knee. Fletcher rolled him up for a near fall. Fletcher tried backslide, so Takeshita adjusted and got Fletcher over, only for Fletcher to roll through and PK Takeshita in his bad arm. Hit a thrust kick to the jaw and a sheer drop brainbuster. 1-2, Takeshita kicked out. Fletcher brought Takeshita back to the top ropes and dropped Takeshita with a turnbuckle brainbuster. Fletcher covered and got the pinfall. The Protostars, the new AEW champion, came out to celebrate while the conglomeration checked on Takeshita in the ramp. Yes. So that's where we're at. And, work's getting in the way. But yes, Callis stepped in, said it wasn't about, so. All right, so Mick Foley comes out to interview Kyle Fletcher. Got kind of distracted by a beep on my TV on screen, so I apologize for that. Well, Andrade lures the Don Callis family into a trap. While Fletcher and Callis come to the ring, Mick Foley made his way to the ring and back to TBS for the first time in 32 years. Said it wasn't about him. Say it's 32 years, and I probably was watching that 32 years ago. It's kind of crazy when you realize how old you are. Because 32 years, that would put me at 13 years old. But about the new AEW International Champion Kyle Fletcher, Floyd said it's one of the finest matches he's ever seen and asked what it was like not only to battle, but also beat his former friend Takeshita. Fletcher said Takeshita was never his friend. Fletcher was number one in Pro Takeshita, and Takeshita was riding his coattails. Fletcher did what Proto Kata said they were going to do and brought the AEW International title back to the Don Callis family. Callis stepped in and said this wasn't about Foley or still in the moment. It was about a celebration for Don Callis family and Fletcher. Foley said he wants to talk Don Callis about credibility. He went on about this dog and stuff. And yeah, I was literally zoned out on this. Fletcher stepped in and Callis couldn't believe Foley would insult him because Callis is a family man. He pointed out the gold on Don Callis' family, introduced TNT champion the Jet, Kevin Knight. He congratulated Fletcher on finally bringing back the gold to the Don Callis family. Welcome to the club. Took you long enough. Knight said he still owed AEW world title shot because he put his body on the line, whether it's Kenny Omega or Maxwell Jacob Friedman. Knight will be watching because Jet 2 Belts is on the way. El Idolo appeared on the stage and said he was the best in the Don Callis family. And Andrade promised Andrade world championship. Andrade is going to take the belt from take a belt from the Callis family. Say he's dealt with Andrade's session with belts for months, so if he can beat Jake Doyle, he gets a shot at Mark Davis and the AEW national champion. Asked if they wanted to attack him, but said tranquilo. He had one question: how you know? I just love it. I love how you know. I've been throwing that out all day. Andrade challenged him to come after him, so Doyle and Knight chased him. Knight was worried about the backpack, and Cage grabbed Alan's skateboard, but it blew up. Doyle pointed to Andrade and said, "It was you." Andrade, who was holding the detonator, calmly responded, "How you know?" They all continued to brawl with Excalibur calling for security to intervene. And I said, somebody's like, Andrade's a munitions expert. You need to be a munitions expert to push a button. He just press a button. I mean, somebody does all the work and they say, hey, at the time, just press this button. It's not really a need to be a munitions expert. Will Ospreay and John Moxley defeat the Workhorsemen. We all knew that was going to happen. Yeah, there was no even interview, and it's just a squash match. We hear from Hikaru Shida, who reminded everyone that she told you so. Said she was going to win Survival of the Fittest, become the new TBS champion, and she did it. Instead of being the face of TBS, she wants to be known as the ace of TBS, because as long as she holds this title, TBS stand for the best is Shida, which I thought was pretty cool. Willow Nightingale wins the Casino Gauntlet to earn an AEW World Title shot at AEW Redemption. Did you listen to the show last week? They announced the two people, and you assume the two people they beat would be in it. And I said, oh, Willow's coming back to win the title. And Willow's coming back to win the Gauntlet, and then she's going to face Tekla at Redemption. Yep, it happened. Predictable. I love Willow. She's my favorite women's wrestler. So I'm happy she won. But please don't pretend like this was some unexpected thing. It was just like, it was kind of chalk. And like, I would maybe did something to throw someone off, but it was like super chalk. As we saw a timeline of Jack Perry's career, he announced that he's resigning with AEW. There's a lot of hubbub on whether WWE would have been interested in Jack Perry. I don't think Jack Perry was going anywhere. I think AEW's his home. Jurassic Express, when they're a tag team, is a pushed act. He's been the TNT champion. He's been the national champion. He's always in stuff that matters. And he's really, really small. It would have been insane for him to even consider going anywhere else other than AEW, in my opinion, as a fan. Just want to let you know that. I'm like, not a wrestler. I don't know how you get fulfilled or what he wants to be fulfilled. But if you go based on usage, right? His usage is right there with MJF, right there with, it's MJF, Darby Allin, Jack Perry, and then, of course, Sammy Guevara as far as the original pillars and their usage. I mean, he's going to get used. And in WWE, he would be smaller than most of the women there. And I don't mean that as disparaging. I'm just saying, look at the three people WWE are pushing as their main guys right now. Obafemi, Trick Williams, and Javon Evans are their next guys. Jack Perry just doesn't measure up to any of them. So it's just like, and then you go like to the smaller people. He's smaller than the smallest people. And I know I'm sounding like a sizist, but it's not sizeism in this case. This is looking at what WWE presents and what Jack Perry is. I think Jack Perry's a talented wrestler. He's great in ring. He's come a long way with confidence and character, and he's come a long way. All that stuff is great, but he is freakishly small compared to other WWE people. So nothing's going to happen there. All right. And Renee asked to speak ball about Kevin Knight, but he had no interest talking about Knight. Instead, he wanted to take something from Callis. He challenged Mark Davis for the AEW National Championship Saturday on Collision. Because apparently losing last week to Jake Doyle entitles you to a national champion. Don't ask for me to make that make sense. And I'm the king of spin. I'm like, he literally lost his last match and now he's getting a title shot. Eyebrows raised. All right, AEW World Championship match. Kenny Omega defeats MJF. Yes, so I was watching this match and I quite enjoyed it. The E is back in the elite, and that's what I forgot when I was having my comments and I was in the weeds. I caught myself last night. I got in the weeds. That's on me. I take the blame for that. I'm like, well, based on what Ospreay said and what based on this, and it was stupid. It was stupid. You might even agree with me. You might even say, well, Ospreay said MJF couldn't do it without himself. And then Ospreay came out and interfered in his match. Now, if you're taking it from me and my King of Spin, Ospreay was so fucking terrified of MJF and the fact that he was going to get embarrassed in London in front of all his home countrymen that he had to come out and take him out from stopping Kenny Omega. Because guess what? MJF's been winning this way for like months. And Ospreay's kept his ass in the back where he's supposed to. But now he chose this match against Kenny Omega, the one that actually picks his challenger. And he literally went out there and helped Kenny Omega. You know what he did? He said, I see two roads. I see the 30-year-old, top of his profession, generational talent, this generation's Ric Flair, better than everybody else, MJF. Or I see 42-year-old, broken down, basically has no organs on the inside, guy that MJF's already beat, Kenny Omega. Who do I want to face in the main event of All In? Yeah, I'm going to take the easier path, which is Kenny Omega. That's my spin. Not saying that's how I feel, but that's my spin because I got lost in the weeds. But the story is this. This company is called All Elite Wrestling. You know, as much as I say it and it's called AEW and all that stuff, I forget it sometimes. I forget the energy. I forget the feeling that we have. I forget the Kenny Omega and Jon Moxley matches, Cody Rhodes versus Dustin, Lucha Bros versus Young Bucks. The matches that made this company who it was, who it is. I forgot that the in-ring performances is what built this company. When I once was on an episode of the match guide, AEW match guide with Sir Sam, and I was getting so angry because he was saying Jon Moxley was the most important person in AEW, and I was like, it can't be, because the working style, the main event style, the match style of this company was built, created, and perfected long before he ever met Tony Khan by the man known as Kenny Omega. So yes, I did get caught in the weeds. Yes, some silly post. Well, I'm a silly person, so I have no problem with silly posts. I won't delete them. But in this world, and you're going into a stadium show, and you're saying this stadium show is going to be representative to the world because it's probably their biggest show, their most popular show. It's a stadium show. It's their WrestleMania. What do you want represented in the company? You want the best wrestling match possible. As someone that has went to all four All-Ins, I remember the first one with 80,000 and MJF and Adam Cole went out there and they didn't really put on an AEW, the Elite Wrestling match. They did a lot of I don't want to hurt you, blah, blah, blah. And it was just a lot of fake emotion, just a lot of stuff a lot of people didn't care about. We just wanted our banger. And I don't feel like, I thought the match was good, but I never thought it was a banger. Even go back and listen to the old podcast. Then the next year, Swerve and Bryan Danielson put on a most amazing and most emotional match. Bryan Danielson finally got his win. Then the next year, it was a little different of a match because it was the Texas Death Match between Hangman and Moxley. Still in the theme of we're the best wrestle between Moxley and Hangman. I know I give Hangman a lot of shit, but all you should know, I'm not trying to ruin it for you, but it's all a shtick. I respect that man immensely. He's a fantastic wrestler. I'm going to continue to shit on him as long as the rest of this podcast goes along. Don't get me wrong. But in my moment of clarity, I can tell you Hangman's, an excellent professional wrestler in every way. Mic skills, wrestling, everything. Excellent professional wrestler. Anything that I have a problem with has some more to do with my personal things of what I want from a world champion, but nothing to do with his performance in a ring. So me going through that, MJF and Kenny Omega. So are going to start at the moment where we MJF. Okay, where are we at? Where's Ospreay? Where is Ospreay? That's where I'm looking for, because I felt like this was such a important part of the match. Ospreay's name comes up a lot, so give me just a second. All right. MJF went to the floor and grabbed the AEW World title. He rolled in the ring, so the referee stopped him and took the title away. MJF pulled the Dynamite Diamond Ring out of his trunks and put it on, but Will Ospreay ran down and pulled it off MJF's finger. Omega had the AEW World title, but stopped himself short of hitting MJF with the belt. He dropped it. MJF low-blowed Omega. MJF nailed Omega with the title. MJF covered, and Omega kicked out at 1. Even Ospreay loved that as he watched from the top of the ramp. Omega punished MJF against ropes and hit 2 quick V-triggers. Omega gathered himself on the ropes and hit a third V-trigger. Omega picked up MJF, hit the 1 wing angel, covered MJF for a 3 count. Kenny Omega is the AEW World Champion once again. The E is back in AEW. This was an excellent match in terrible conditions as far as how hot it is. There was this part where you could see Jeremy Donovan and Dan Coffin. And I remember, when being there, a winter is coming. And I remember I flew to Jacksonville because I kind of figured out what was going to happen. And the reason I'm saying this is just because this is emotional. Kenny Omega, again, he changed how I watch professional wrestling. He's not my favorite professional wrestler. He's never been my favorite, never been my favorite professional wrestler ever. He's just never has been. I hate the way he promos. But goddamn, when that bell rings and the time between from the from the time the bell rings to the time it rings on the other end, maybe no one better. And the fact that All Elite Wrestling is represented by one of the most elite wrestlers of his generation, Kenny Omega. Like, too small, too this, too that, don't promo, all that kind of stuff. He has quieted everybody. He was a junior. He was a junior in New Japan. Worked his way up. Became one of their most trusted people. Ended Okada's long reign. Now he's come to AEW, and I imagine there are some AEW fans that's like, it's been 7 years. Kenny Omega should have been the world champion for all 7 years. But that had not been his path. He got the diverticulitis, and that put him on a path where he might not wrestle again. And he came back, all the way back. And on this night, he beat MJF. Now, ticket sales for Wembley have not been that great, and they did a 50% discount. So people ask, why did you give this match away so early? Why didn't it wait till Redemption? Because Kenny Omega winning his world title in Canada seems like it would have been a pretty good story. The fact is, you got to move tickets, and you only have to the end of August to do it. So you kind of want to have your main event set in stone. So now we have Kenny Omega versus Will Ospreay. This generation's Kenny Omega versus the next generation's Kenny Omega in a match in London. And I hope everyone that listens to this show that is in that area or is available to go buys a ticket to the show, and we put 50,000 people in there. And I hope that's what happens. But regardless if that happens or not, we get the son of the UK, Will Ospreay, versus Canada's finest, Kenny Omega, in a world title match. And it's going to be a banger. It's like one of those 5, 6, 7 stars, whatever you want to put on it. We know it's going to be amazing. And it might be Kenny Omega's swan song in the top spot in AEW. And it might, but I truly believe in this case that either one can win. Even though the title has changed hands, I think every year except the first year, you know. So they like those big emotional moments at All In. So I'm looking forward to see what happens. I'm going to put my head in the sand and pretend like I don't know so I can just enjoy it. But yes, if you have the resources to make it to London for this match, make it to London for this match. If you don't have the resources to make it to London to this match, make sure and you're in America and Canada, make sure you're on HBO Max. And if you're international, make sure you're on my AEW. Get your ass to see this match, because if you think these two men, given this spot, given this build, Omega Ospreay 3, that they're not going to absolutely try to break Dave Meltzer's already broken scale, you're insane. They're going for 7. They're going for 7.7 and a quarter, 7.5. Whatever Meltzer can do, they're going to go for it. And barring any unforeseen circumstance, I don't see a reason why they can't do it. Yeah. So yeah, last night I did forget about the E and AEW. Kenny Omega's the E and AEW. Kenny Omega, if their AEW ever had a person logo, it should be Kenny Omega, either probably doing a V-trigger, because that's how much he means to this company. Now, John Moxley is very much the Undertaker of this company, as in he is the locker room leader, the vet, the guy that everybody goes to. Don't get me wrong. But Kenny Omega is the spirit of what AEW is. And Will Ospreay is the spirit of AEW. Now, of course, when I want to watch wrestling, I want Superman versus Lex Luthor. But in this case, we're because I kind of keep it DC. We're kind of getting Superman versus Batman. And, we're honestly probably be more like Superman versus like the Red Sun, like the other Superman, or like a clone of Superman, because these two men are what represents AEW the most. So I go into All In putting my feelings for MJF aside, that this is the best match that they have. This is the marquee match that they have. This is the money match that they have. Will already beat MJF at All In. So doing a rematch, that didn't make sense. This is where you go. You present the biggest match on the biggest stage ever. And if people don't show up, or if they don't sell a lot of tickets and they don't get to the 50,000 or whatever, or 40,000 or whatever, Kenny Omega and Will Ospreay are going to make you regret that you weren't in that building. They're going to make you think, and this is for the UK and these for the people in America that can afford it. They're going to make you have self-doubt. They're going to give you FOMO for missing this match. Now, I don't know what they're going to do at Redemption as far as the world title match or whatever. It is what it is. The kind of, but the idea that in 2026, we get Kenny Omega maybe in his last of his great matches against Will Ospreay, the man that we've been calling the face of AEW, the future face of AEW since he arrived. Is the future face going to become the current face? Like, we'll preview and review and talk about this over the next 6 weeks. But once I sat back and I got past my shtick and fun and all that kind of stuff I thought about, me, my boy JR, and my boy Simon are going to be in the 100 section. So watch Kenny Omega and Will Ospreay, two of the best in-ring performers of our time, wrestle. And how many times have you gotten that as far as in wrestling on the biggest stage? So I look forward to that. All right, we move on. AEW wrestlers in the New Japan G1. The wrestlers in the New Japan G1 are Konosuke Takeshita and Gabe Kidd. With that, Gabe Kidd pinned Shota Umino to become the new global champion on the road to G1 Climax Tokyo in Kirken Hall on July 6th. And he won in 8 minutes and 48 seconds. I didn't watch the match, but since it's so short, I'm probably going to watch it after the show. So I'm not going to tell you, but Gabe Kidd won the match, and apparently he won with the Death Rider. He slapped the shit out of Hiroshi Tanahashi and spit on him or something. And Gabe Kidd's full on this AEW Invader kind of gimmick. And it's so amazing because I honestly thought this is what Takeshita should have did last year as AEW champion, to just as a new IWGP champion, to piss everybody off and really give Yoda Tsuji that thing. But it wasn't what Takeshita was interested in doing. Gabe Kidd has no fucking problem with it, and this is amazing. It just makes me think, what's going to happen? Is Gabe Kidd going to win the G1? Who the F knows? But what I can do for you is talk about the schedule. The G1, July 11th in Chicago. The matches are as listed. I'll quickly go through them. First match, and all this information was broken down beautifully on Keeping It Strong Style this week with Jeremy Donovan and the brilliant Chris Samsa, who runs the G1 Pick'em every year. I will get to see him, talk to him this weekend in Chicago. But yes, no one covers New Japan on this podcast network, outside this podcast network, like Keeping It Strong Style. When they say they're the ace, they are correct of that. So, but the first match is Aaron the Wolf versus Hanari. Big meaty men slapping meat. That's what you're going to get there. Jake Lee versus Shingo Takagi. I'm a big Shingo fan. Oscar versus Ren Narita. Yudo Ice versus Great-O-Khan. Shota Umino versus Zack Sabre Jr. Hiroki Goto versus Sonata. Yua Uemura versus Callan Newman. Bolton Oleg versus Rohei Iwa. And Takeshita versus Tsuji, which is crazy because this will be my third New Japan show, and the main event of Wrestle Kingdom and the main event of the G1, Takeshita versus Tsuji. So, big matches at both. I think they ended with Tanahashi and Okada, but Takeshita and Tsuji are getting their main event in Chicago. As you may notice, Gabe Kidd is missing. He has visa issues, so currently he cannot work in America. No problem in Japan, but he can't work in America right now. So they'll get that fixed, and so he'll have that match then. Takeshita, and I would have liked to see more representation from AEW, but New Japan is building stars. So in a spirit of building stars, yeah, the G1 should be 90%. 90% New Japan people. So shout out to them. Good luck. I am in the building in the suites, so I'm looking forward to seeing these matches. But me personally, other than this first night, all I do is watch the Takeshita matches from the G1. I'll probably watch the Takeshita and Gabe Kidd matches because they affect AEW, and I'll be reporting on their progress as the G1 continues this year. Again, it's kind of uneven matches, so I will do my best to keep you as up to date as possible. So that's New Japan and the G1. And then now is the AEW Collision preview. Actually, before Collision preview, there is a AEW Brawl in the Ballpark, Minneapolis, Minnesota. After the Twins play on July 10th, there's going to be matches that last 75 minutes. The brawl will take place in a specially constructed wrestling ring located inside the Target Fields Gate 34 area. So this would be outside of that, and there are VIP packages available. AEW wrestlers scheduled to appear: Orange Cassidy, Shelton Benjamin, Bobby Lashley, Julia Hart, Top Flight, Dante and Darius Martin. So I believe Julia Hart and the Martins are both from Minnesota. Willa Yuta, Anthony Bowens. Hook, Ryan Cage. Hyen, Lee Moriarty, Shane Taylor, Carly Bravo. Serpentico, and Action Andretti. So the STP will be in there's a theme night package where you get a Twins AEW Lucha mask and a ticket to the game. There's a VIP ringside package, which was a ticket to the game, the Lucha mask, and reserved ringside seats for the post-game wrestling match. And the last one, truly on deck ticket package, tickets to the game, Lucha mask, same seating location, general aerial view for a post game, and $30 loaded value. So make sure if you are in that Minnesota area and you can, go ahead and check out the Brawl in the Ballpark, because the more stuff like this, the more stuff like this may continue in the future. So definitely wanted to do that, and love how they're building AEW. And Collision, July 11th from Roanoke, Virginia. The 3 matches listed here on this show are Hikaru Shida defending the TBS Championship against Harley Cameron. We got Bandito defending the ROH World Championship against, good Lord, Katsuyori Shibata. And then AEW National Championship, Mark Davis versus Speedball Mike Bailey. So we got some matches lined up for this weekend. I'm probably sure we're going to hear from either Will Ospreay or maybe a backstage interview from Kenny Omega. Also, Kenny Omega did cut a promo after he won the title, thanking the fans for all their support. Just remember, AEW Collision is we're going to be live this Saturday, July 11th at 7 o'clock. And from Roanoke. I will not be watching it because I will obviously be watching the G1, but I'll be watching it Sunday, so I can talk about it later. But that is your Collision review. Additional news and notes. We did the Gabe Ken thing. AEW has a fast channel on Roku now. So make sure you're checking that out. If you actually use the Roku channel, make sure you're checking that out and supporting them. I have my Roku TV over here. Also, the Beach Break show was a conjoint with Twitch. So people were doing Twitch chats after they watched the match. I think the one I saw a clip of was Kyle Fletcher. So I'm not much of a Twitcher, but I am glad AEW is starting to get some kind of larger collaborations to help build their brand, build their name, get their name out there, letting people know they exist. So I hope hopefully see more of that in the future. I know there's a lot of content creators that see, especially what I saw Speed did, trying to see, and Logan Paul, maybe they can see about getting into that wrestling space. So hopefully that happens for them, because I don't really have a problem with it as long as I still get my banger matches and everything. So, all right. I believe that's it for All Things Elite. I don't think this was a super long episode. We're right at an hour. Kenny Omega, Will Ospreay, main event, for All In. Doesn't really get better than that for me. I truly believe we're going to get Willow and Mercedes Moné for it. I think I missed something in the show, and I don't know how it was wrong. It wasn't wrong on the review, but I don't feel like it was listed. All right. Because at some point, the Divine Dominion attacked women, and it looked like Mercedes was the cause for. Oh, okay. Good Lord. Yes. And I'm going to go back just because I'm an idiot. So this is completely based on me, because I do think this is leading to something at the end, but it looks like Mercedes Moné and the Divine Dominion are aligned. Yes, I was too busy taking my victory lap on knowing Willow was going to win to actually cover that part of the match where the Divine Dominion attacked Sky Blue and Julia Hart after the match. Teclis cohorts from the cohorts from Triangle of Madness, and yeah, and it looks like Mercedes Moné has her two people, and that is the Divine Dominion, which I am very, very happy about. I have long thought Mercedes should be leading a all women's faction in AEW, and it looks like she has it now, and that's cool. I don't want to do. Please don't write the Mercedes mean to them and they lose confidence and they act like puppy dogs. I want this to be three confident, badass women running through the company. So, yeah, it was kind of weird having to go back to something show. I know that's going to throw off the show, but I'd rather go back at the end and acknowledge I made a mistake than to just not cover it all and be like, oh, yeah, I didn't cover it. So I definitely covered that. So shout out to Willow Nightingale for winning the gauntlet. She's one of the more decorated women in AEW because you think about it, except the AEW World Title, she's held every other belt. So it's time to put the world title on Willow. So let's fucking go. All right, so that's the end of the show. Shout out to and thank you to Austin for giving me a heads up so I could do this show on my own to get it out there, but he will be back next week, I suspect. It was kind of crazy him having to meet this one because Beach Break, I would have liked to hear his thoughts on Kenny Omega and things like that, but we'll get some of those thoughts next week. He's be back with that super silky radio voice. But I do thank you all for putting up with me for an hour. I was out and about today, and I think I'm weird because I've always hated people that hate lines. Then they hate meet and greet lines. They hate being around wrestling fans. I've heard it so many times. I don't even need to name names because it's such a consistent thought. But I got to tell you, I love meet and greet lines. I love being around wrestling fans. I love meeting new people. Now, I will tell you, here's some things that I would avoid if I'm in the line. If you have to read the room, if a person is giving you really short answers, or just like their body language is looking away from you like they want you to shut the hell up, leave that person alone. There are certain people out there, and I call them the one-upsmen, that wants you to know every amazing wrestling thing they've ever done. And I know some people are probably listening to the show and like, that's you, Floyd. It really isn't. Because this is not a humble brag. This is a flat out brag. I couldn't list all the things that I've done in wrestling as far as a fan going to shit. Times I just don't have time. I would never find out about the other people if we did it. So, yeah, definitely not me. Don't get in no one-upsmanship shit battle. You'll meet the person, and they want to tell you everything they do. They're going to want to tell you everything they've been, every wrestler they met them. Let them. Let them act real impressed, whatever. Just let them. Because it's like, I don't understand the measuring contest that goes on between wrestling fans and lines. But it does happen. But I wouldn't engage if possible. Because they're probably talking the ear off and annoying someone else that's probably more similar fan to what you bring to the table. So don't get in the measuring contest. That's a suggestion. Suggestion number 3. Don't be afraid not to talk about wrestling. I was with a guy today and he just wasn't into it. He was there for his kid. I talked about football, talked about the World Cup, talked about a little everything, And, it helps pass the time in lines. But, I think meet and greet lines are the heartbeat of professional wrestling. I've met some of my closest friends in meet and greet lines. And I tell you, I know there are people out there, different conditions, and some people that just don't like really talking to people. and you have to read the room. I'm not saying it's easy, but you have to read the room. It was incredibly difficult to me because when I was younger, I thought everybody wanted to be my best friend. So I just talked their fucking ear off. And it did make me a few friends, but I've learned to be a little more like reserved and kind of watch and see who wants to communicate. So yeah, just take advantage of these lines. You never know who you'll meet in lines. You'll never know. You'll never know where that'll get you. And it's like sometimes you need a guy to vouch for you for certain things. And you're just like, oh, I know that guy from line. And they're like, that's a cool dude. So now I just really want you to focus on understanding this wrestling community. Because the big thing about the wrestling, and you have the smarks, the super smarks, the people, the in-ring performance guys, it must be a story guys. You have all the different personalities of wrestling. But the thing is, you do have one thing in common. You like professional wrestling. So in the end, if you're not talking about anything, you can always say you can talk to them about their love for professional wrestling. Also, if they say their favorite wrestler is someone and you hate that wrestler, how about keeping that one to yourself? Just let them enjoy that moment. So I'm just giving you a few ideas on how to make friends or fans. I mean friends, not fans. But I really had a great time today. Thank you again, Jackie. Thank you again, Jackie's dad, John. Thank you all. Thank you for all the wrestling fans that I've met in line, including one of my closest friends, Tiffany. So to that, I will say leave you how I always leave you. Whether there's home, work, or school, always do your best to be elite.